So welcome to episode 4 of Block Magazine's vlog. And today I'm really pleased to welcome Anna of Anna Knitter, all the way over in Germany. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
What's the name of your dog behind you? We've just seen him there.
That's Benny. You might see him on, off, or hear him. So bear with me.
Oh, he's lovely. What kind of a dog is he?
He's a West Highland White Terrier, or Westie, how you call them. In the 90s, a very, very common dog.
Yeah.
And I wanted always this kind of dog. And when I had my own money, I decided now it's the time.
Brilliant. Yeah. So you're more of a dog person than a cat person?
Yeah, I like all animals. Yeah, no worries. I'm not black or white. I like all the animals, but I'm a dog person because I grew up with a dog.
Yeah. So jumping straight in, when did you start knitting?
I learned it in school. Thankfully, in Germany, the education system, actually, when I was a child, was quite good.
Has it changed?
It's getting worse a little bit, Also, the education system gets woke. But so I started to learn all the crafts in kindergarten. Wow. Then we were stitching, so with plastic needles. In primary school, we did weaving, crocheting, and so on. And then we call it in Germany, or what you would call middle school, I would say, Realschule in Germany. We started to knit. Then I was about 11 years old, and my teacher was teaching us only the knit stitch, cast on and knit stitch. Okay, to be honest, my mom did the cast on because I didn't understand the long tail cast on at all. So my mom at home did the cast on, and I was only knit stitch and on the backside purl stitch, knit purl. So I was knitting stockinette, and I got a good grade, but she didn't tell us that the stockinette would roll in. So it was going to be a scarf, and this thing was like this wide, but because it was rolling in, it was like a sausage. I wasn't very content with that, so I never finished it, but that was the start.
So when you learned at school in Germany, did everybody learn, or was it just the girls, or was it the whole class?
The whole class. But the boys, everyone was allowed to pick and choose the kind of craft. So, For example, I can't remember that any boy chose knitting. They made friendship bracelets.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's called knotting in.
It's like a bit like weaving, isn't it? But
it's like weaving. It's like tiny little knots. Like what you do when you make a braid in your hair.
Yeah.
And with several different colors and patterns, and the boys preferred that. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because we know, I can't speak for the whole of the country, but I know when I was at school, nobody did knitting at school. People did sewing, and it was very, very basic. You learned how to do like a cross stitch, in a square. And I think we did it for one lesson. And I just remember, just the one. Yeah. And I remember that we all had like a little piece of, I forgot what it's called, that material, with the holes in. Ada, that's it. Yeah, we all had a tiny piece of that, and we had to just keep going round in square. And it was really funny. All the girls, they were perfect, and all the boys, it was just these massive knots, on the back, because there's like a difference in how boys and girls present their work, isn't there?
No, we had to do. We learned sewing as well in middle school, and we had to do sewing machine license.
Oh, wow!
So we really learned everything with it, and then we had to make a pillow and a stuffed animal.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. I wish my school had been like that. Oh,
but the higher schools didn't do that. So I was in a middle school. In Germany, we have 3 types of schools: the main school, the middle school, and the higher school, which where the third one, I was going to the third one as well, so I can study, but I didn't do the middle school on that school. So the higher schools don't offer that. In the main schools, for example, so the lowest one, the students learned how to manage a household and learned to cook, for example.
Oh. That reminds me of when my mother was at school, because she said that in the school grounds there was a house, and it was only the girls though, the boys didn't have to do it. This is the sort of sexist part of it, and the girls had to spend 2 weeks in that house. Didn't sleep there. So instead of doing their classwork, they would be in the house, and they would have to cook a meal for a teacher. and they would have to wash and iron clothes, and basically taught them how to be a housewife. And it's kind of, I mean, it sounds funny now, but there are certain skills that we don't learn in schools anymore. And if your parents are working and haven't got the time to teach you, like cooking now, for example, just that one thing in this country, in England, nobody knows how to cook.
Yeah,
we all watch these chef shows and nobody seems to know how to do it.
And the kitchens are getting bigger and bigger and more fancy as ever has been. But I have to say, my parents always worked, and they had never only one job. They had always several jobs because, big family, money wasn't much. And they taught me how to use, how to cook and how to use a washing machine and how to iron. And as a child, I hated that.
Yeah.
But when I was having my own flat, I was so grateful that I was able to do so.
Yeah. So when so you went through school, you did your knitting at school, and then did you carry on knitting, or did you have a break? Because most people seem to have a break after they first learn.
So I was trying to carry on, but because no one told me this stockinette problem thing, I always did the same thing. I managed the long tail cast on after several attempts, but I always did the stockinette. So I tried bigger needles, thicker yarn, thinner yarn, cotton, wool, acrylic, and it was always rolling in, and it was driving me crazy. And then I gave up, because no one told me stockinette is rolling in, and we didn't have internet back then, so I couldn't look up Stacey Perry, Very Pink Knits or anything. So I started when I was, it's so typical, but when I was studying.
When you at university, is this?
At university, yeah, right.
Because, so when you needed to be working hard, you suddenly...
Yeah, and you only work with your brain. And I'm not like that. I have always done something with my hands, always. I was always crafty. And yeah, the study days were very long and we had to be there. I know some students can come and go to their lectures as they want to, but we weren't allowed. We had to be there when there was a lecture from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening.
That's unusual. What were you studying? What was your course?
Theology, Roman Catholic theology. And I wasn't at a university, so where you could study several things with more freedom and so on. I was on a private Hochschule, word by word translated. We would say high school, but it's not a high school. So you could only study theology and philosophy. It was a private school led by monks. And so they could make up the rules. Wow. And it was good. It was good. It was respectful, because if you don't attend the lectures because it's boring, there are lectures which are boring, but then the professor was there, and imagine only 5 people sitting there. That's not very respectful.
Wow. Yeah. When I was at university, we only had to attend for 2 hours a week. This was, I did a master's, not my degree. So when I did the master's, 2 hours a week. And the funny thing is, after so many months of doing it, I started to really get annoyed that I had to go in, even though it was just for those 2 hours. It's like, oh, why have I got to go and do this, And then the rest of it, but to be fair though, I did an English literature MA. So the rest of the week we had to read a lot. And we had to read like 5-6 books a week. So you kind of learn to read a book in a day. You hardly ever absorb it all, and in the end, I was getting all my books mixed up because I forget words as it is, I'm quite forgetful like that. So I was talking about characters in the seminars that weren't even in that book.
Yeah, I can relate to that totally. I forget that too.
So you went back to knitting during your university days, and then how did you learn then beyond the curling stockinette? What was it that taught you beyond that?
YouTube. So first the German YouTube videos, because I learned English in school, and I have to say I'm very sorry to all the viewers now. I'm a typical German. I'm not perfect in English. I only learned at school, and that was everything. Yeah. So, and then if you Google something in a foreign language, you don't have these technique words, knit stitch, purl stitch, and I didn't know what that means. So I found some German videos, and then my mom taught me when I was during semester break at home how to use DPNs, because that is nothing I was able to learn via video. I had to see how to hold everything. Yeah,
you can't do that out of a book either, could you? It's quite tricky, isn't it, that? Yeah.
I was so angry and so mad. I was throwing the needles away so many times. I was so furious. And then she taught me, and basically the sentence she said that was very helpful was concentrate on the 2 needles. Forget the other 3. Only concentrate on the 2 needles, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, because really, you just hold. They're just there to be held, aren't they? You're not doing it because it's magic to other people, isn't it? If they see you working with DPNs, they think you are knitting with all of those needles at once. You know, like
my husband generally says it's like if you were a witch. It's magic. What you're doing, knitting is magic.
So does he not knit? Is he not interested?
No, we are very stereotyped men and women. I don't do these kind of things he's able to do, and I'm not interested in these things, and the other way around. But he loves to receive handmade socks and pullovers, so that's great.
So do you crochet as well? I can't remember whether you crochet.
Yeah, but only easy things. So blankets, for example, or maybe a loop. A cowl, you would say in English. I really would like to learn amigurumis.
Oh, yes.
They are so cute. And
well, if you can do a cowl, you can do amigurumi, because it's exactly the same thing. It's just because it's only the basic stitch that you do. So it's just the beginning bit. You need to learn how to do that loop at the very beginning, and that's it, really.
Yeah, the challenge for me is to read the fabric. So I have to identify this is a stitch, this is the first stitch of the round, or this is the last stitch, because by accident I always decrease or increase.
I learned when I was, because I say taught myself, I learned crochet off YouTube, completely. Nobody taught me how to do it except YouTube. And the thing that I realized with crochet is that it's not the leg of the crochet that is the stitch, it's only the bit at the top, because I was always counting those.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And that's how I always ended up being out of count. But it's only when I realized it's the V on the top to count and ignore the ones underneath, and then it seemed to sort of click.
Okay.
So as well as knitting, I'm not sure about this because I know you do your Opal yarn. So for anyone who doesn't know, Anna is my Opal dealer. She's
I have one here. The Opal minis.
Yeah, before the police come knocking on your door. Yeah, we are talking about wool. But also I think you hand dye, don't you?
Yeah, right. I have a few examples here from my new base. So usually I offer fingering weight yarn.
Yeah.
And I have sock yarn in sport weight. So you get a hang of 150 gram because you need a little bit more in sport weight.
Yeah.
And now I have merino yarn in sport weight too. So I really enjoy dyeing yarn because it's another way to be creative, completely different. It's not every knitter would like to dye. It's two different things. Some people who like to knit think, oh, I would love to be an indie dyer, but it's something completely different. And it's very exhausting. You have to have a strong back, obviously. But yeah, I really like that. And
first one, if you just hold the first one up again that you had. So that one on your right, that's it. That one, it's almost like it's my background of my shirt.
Yeah, and it's all my favorite colors. So blue is always pleasing to the eye, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about coloring with Liz on my last video, and we have similar coloring. We've got blue eyes, haven't we, in your fair? And I think that color that you've done there is the perfect kind of color for people with our complexion, isn't it? Because
I'm pale skin, blue eyes.
Yeah, that's lovely. It's like a beach. It's like the sand.
That's why it's called beach.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you said the name.
No, I wasn't speaking up enough. But yeah, right. I spent my honeymoon on an Etruscan island.
Oh.
So, and that was the first yarn I was dyeing after it when I returned home. And I love the sea. I always have to spend at least a week or two per year by the sea, or at least some kind of water. I'm not that mountain girl. I was living in Austria for 11 years, and they are all about the mountains, but it's too exhausting to get up there.
It's completely landlocked, isn't it? There's no coast, is there, in Austria?
No, they don't have a coast, no. And Germany is nice because you have some mountains in the south, but you can have the sea in the north, and I'm coming from northern Germany. but it's not in Austria. They say if something is long ago, they say it's not true anymore. It's so long ago, it's not true anymore. So I lived too long everywhere else.
So sorry, I cut you off then. Could you show us the other ones that you've
oh yeah, this is Trick or Treat.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to make a Halloween colorway, but when I saw it in the dye pots, I immediately thought of Halloween. I don't know. I really like that. And the other one,
I know it's got purple in it, but it reminds me of fire. There's something very flame.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Because sometimes when you see coal or wood that's burned in a fire, it kind of goes a bit purpley as well, doesn't it? The actual wood.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, that's lovely. Really nice.
Yeah, I really like that too. And the third new, I mean, I have other colorways in the shop as well, but that's Spirit.
And that's like a little bit of a mix of the two, isn't it? It's
right.
So you could have all three in one project, couldn't you?
Yeah, I like to do similar colors. So if people want to have different yarns and you don't want to commit to a sweater's quantity and you want to try different things, you can always fade them.
Brilliant. And do you ship worldwide as well? So a lot of people watching will be in America. So you would.
Yeah. I ship worldwide, everywhere for €8. So I don't know what this is in pounds or in dollar, but it's very inexpensive.
Yeah, I think €8 will be. Somebody watching will get a calculator out and work it out. I think is it about £7 and about $10? Would it be
around that? Yeah.
It fluctuates anyway, doesn't it? So you know the Opal yarn. What is the story with Opal? Because once you used to be able to buy the minis, didn't you, in a pack? You know, like and now I've never seen them anywhere apart from yourself. So how are you managing to get the Opal minis when nobody else can?
Yeah, well, okay. How did the Opal thing start? I subscribe to, so I have an Opal subscription. It's not available in many countries. So unfortunately, I asked them if they could offer that, but I think it has something to do with taxes and so on.
Yeah.
So these Opal minis, I have the Opal subscription. That means 4 times a year, I receive 6 surprise colorways in 100-gram balls. Yeah. And this is so much fun. And that started the love for Opal. You know, when you start knitting, you buy the cheap yarns, acrylic, and the store-bought yarns, and then you find out, indie dyers, fancy merino, alpaca, yak, and so on. And now I'm back. So I have the middle path, so to say. I really enjoy hand-dyed yarns for several things, but I only knit my socks in workhorse yarns, and Opal yarns are awesome because you can throw them in the washing machine. They have fun colorways. They are soft. So they are not like Knit Picks Felici soft, but to be honest, I ruined my only pair I had knit out of Felici. I felted them completely. I have to be able to throw my socks in the washing machine. Really, I'm not about hand washing those.
Yeah, who's got time for that?
Yeah, really. And I wear them every single day. So, and in shoes, they have to be rustic, but Opal yarn is also very soft, rustic and soft. And many years ago, they used to have an advent calendar.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And this advent calendar had these minis. They were a little bit bigger. I think they had 5 gram more.
Right, because they're 10 grams, aren't they, those?
That is 10 gram, but I weighed them. And they label them with 10 gram, but sometimes they have 12, 13, even 14 gram. So it's awesome. You always have at least 10, but usually more. And because, you know, I started this business, I had to make everything official for taxes and so on. And with this, I don't know what this English word is, when you announce at your local town hall that you have a business now, you get this registry thing-a-ding.
Register. I think you just register, don't you?
Yeah, maybe. And then you are allowed to buy, is it wholesale?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I can buy all these things, and many yarn shops don't sell these. I don't know why. I love these minis, but I can't find them anywhere. And then I saw them for wholesale, and I said, okay, you got to be prepared now. And I sold them out. And then this guy from the wholesale company said, what are you doing with all these minis? And I said, the Americans love them.
And the British, well, this Brit does as well.
Yeah.
Maybe just me.
So from the ranking, most of my viewers and customers are from the US, then Canada, and then Great Britain. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, there are more people from the US in general, so it's easier.
Yeah. So did the US ever get Opal? I think they did get them, didn't they? They did get the advent calendars when they were available, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, but you have a smaller variety for sure. There are some vendors on Etsy and so on, but it's
the first set that I bought
expensive
from you, just to show you, this is the first time I think, no, I've shown a photograph of this. It hasn't been blocked yet, so obviously it needs a bit of work on it still. But with the minis that I got off you, I also bought a black, do they call it the unicolor from
Unicolor? Yeah, I offer them as well. Yeah.
This is a shawl that I've designed and knitted.
This is amazing.
And what I absolutely love about Opal, which I didn't know until I got them off you, is that it doesn't matter which one you choose, it seems to flow into the next one.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was one in particular I sent you. It's one of these here that I just thought I need. Oh, I think it's that one because it had a tiny bit of pink in it, and I sent it to you saying, "Oh, do you know what this is?" Because I want to get a sweater's worth, but we couldn't figure it out, could we?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's always a surprise. The minis aren't labeled with colorway names. Yeah.
But even this one, when I first saw these ones, because these are the ones with less colouring, so they've got
I have them here.
They're more cream, aren't they, or maybe even white. That's it. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it, but I absolutely love it now that it's done, and I love the fact that I could make it a separate section.
Yeah,
just
that's amazing.
Those. So I didn't put those directly next to these. So whether they would flow exactly right, I don't know. Yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? And this shawl is sorry, I'm making this about me now. It's supposed to be about you.
No, it's interesting. Keep talking.
This shawl, I've named it after my ugly cats. The idea
I find this funny. Yeah.
Is that the three each section is one of my cats, and the three sort of stripes in each section represents either their claws or their whiskers. And the one in the middle, there's a reason why I put the sort of red in the middle, is because this one represents Ollie, and Ollie's the little rough, tough, and he's a naughty cat, and what he does is he scratches his nails on anything that's wood. So I like the way that looks, because it looks like he's been scratching his nails on wood, and then that one in the middle is my arm where he's scratching, the blood's coming through.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love these Opals. So you've got me hooked now. So this I'll be having withdrawal symptoms.
These are so much fun. I committed to a whole blanket only with Opal minis.
That is stunning.
I love the feel, and it is so warm. It is so warm. From when I had the advent calendars, I made a granny strap blanket.
Yeah,
it was very crazy and colorful, but it is the warmest blanket I have.
Wow.
So all the merino yarns are nice and pretty, and I like them for sweaters and so on. But if you really want to be warm and protected, I prefer Opal.
Well, the other thing I noticed knitting the shawl, because before, when I was using any sock yarn, I always used to buy Regia, which is also a German company, I think, isn't it? But now, having used Opal, it's definitely softer.
Yeah.
And when I was knitting the shawl, I actually knitted it on 4mm needles, which is quite a big jump for a fingering weight, and it still is a fabric that is sweater worthy. So if I was going to make a sweater, I could do it in a 4mm and still do the Opal minis or an Opal 100-gram ball. So they're
it's very fluffy. It's as if it has air in between the threads, so that's the reason why it keeps you so warm, because the air can circulate. And what I really like Regia for all the pretty colors. They have these Arne and Carlos designs, for example. I love them. Or the Perfect, where you have the yellow start, you have perfect matching socks. But also Regia tends to felt in the washing machine.
Right. See, I've never made any socks with Opal yet, so I'm going, because I I have a little inside knowledge of something that you're designing in the future. So I've already bought the Opal yarn to make a pair of socks for the future. So I've got it waiting, and that will be my first pair of socks that I'm going to make with it, because the technique I think you're going to use is one of my favorite techniques, and I've never knitted a sock in that technique. So
it's so much fun. It's so addictive. Yeah.
I won't give anything away because that's your that's for you to reveal. But do you have your socks there that you designed that we advertised in the magazine, didn't we? And could you tell us about those? Because there's a theme, isn't there, to these?
Oh yes, here I have the 3 pairs because I have a new one finished now. Okay.
Oh wow. Those colors are stunning, aren't they?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And the colors, so first of all, it's all Opal yarn again.
Surprise, yeah.
And these are from the same collection. It's both subscription yarn, but I have already found out that they will be available for purchase, and I have already ordered them. They will come out in September. So I will have them in my shop. So
this is a subscription that not many people overseas can actually do, isn't it?
Overseas it's impossible. Only a few European countries, like the Netherlands and Portugal and Spain and so on, but not many European countries.
Is the idea behind that they then release it publicly if it's a success amongst the people that have bought it initially?
Yeah, I think so. I think we are like a testing group, and many of those subscription yarns come into a collection, but many not. So
I imagine they will, because that is absolutely stunning, those colors.
I love
imagine
those,
not many people liking them. Yeah,
and it's like a self-striping, but also like a semi-solid. It's perfect in between thing, because I don't really enjoy unicolored socks. They are pretty, but the process is so boring. But this is uni enough, so to say. So they will be in my shop with 6 other colors. I think there's a yellow and blue and brown and so on. So the collection is called
Oh, go on. Sorry, you were going to say what the collection. I was just going to ask you what the collection.
the collection is called Cats and Dogs.
Oh,
I don't know why, but
I didn't realize. I thought I had it because of your design. I thought it was something to do with dragons.
Yeah, now we come. I didn't, when I designed it with the subscription yarn, so it had no name. I didn't know that it will be a collection, and I saw the green, and then I wrote this pattern. I will try to show it. The zoom camera is always not perfect. Maybe I can show it.
They're like scales, aren't they?
Yes, right. They
really
remind me of scales. Yeah. So, and then green and scales, and I immediately had dragons on my mind. And I love fantasy stories and fantasy games. And my husband and I love the Elder Scrolls series and Skyrim. And in Skyrim, there is this little village or this little town called Helgen. And there is this dragon who tries to destroy Helgen. And you, as the character, you have to save Helgen and the whole Skyrim, so the whole land. Right. And for that, you have to kill the dragon and absorb his power. So you always learn something new when you kill a dragon. And I thought, okay, we can be protected by this cozy scales against the winter and cold. So I called them Helgen socks.
So you've absorbed the dragon by by knitting them and wearing them. You have the dragon. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And then I thought you can, in these fantasy stories, dragons have always different colors.
Yes. And who knew what a dragon's color would be?
And you knit all the dragons, and there will be
they're so nice.
Many more. It's amazing. I love that. And what I love about, I know it's my pattern, and it's weird when you say, oh, I love that pattern, but you have to be convinced of what you're doing. What I like about this is it's very stretchy.
Yeah.
But it keeps shape.
Yeah.
It's like a ribbing, but it has more stability than.
So it must be it grips your leg, that, wouldn't it? So they're not going to fall down.
Yeah, because I hate when socks do that. I hate that.
It's horrible, isn't it? So that pattern's available on your website, isn't it? And if you've only seen Anna on the magazine, I'm sure you've watched Anna's vlog because it's an excellent vlog. But if you haven't, the link to your website is in my magazine in issue 3, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, so you can find me everywhere as Anna Nidda. My website is annanidda.com.
So you've got your Helgen socks. Have you got any other patterns you can show us?
Oh, yes, I have. So last December, I offered my first pattern and it was a mystery knit along. I was blown away by the people who trusted me because they have never seen a pattern by me. And the first one was a mystery pattern. And it is...
That could have been such a disaster, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be totally catastrophe, but it wasn't. It was so much fun. So it was a sock, and I knit this in unicolored because you have to see the stitches. And you had 9 different clues, and every clue was another stitch pattern. And I also offer, this is a sparkle regia yarn.
Right.
So I don't wash that too often. Yeah, and it wasn't only the pattern. You can get this on my website and in my Etsy shop. I also had Christmas stories, Christmas traditions, and songs and so on together in that clue. So it was a very nice experience because, yeah.
I was going to say, does each of the bands, because it's a little, what we would call a sampler, isn't it? You're doing a little sample of a different stitch each way. So you don't get bored. By the time you've got bored of knitting that first bit, you're on to your next bit. And hopefully there's enough of a challenge to make you have to think about it. So does each section represent a different aspect of that? So you said you had songs and tradition.
Oh, no. I wasn't so involved. But it's just I was going for a mystery knit along for Advent that doesn't stress you out.
Right. Yeah.
There are so many 24 clue make alongs, for example, or knit alongs. And you know what? In December, you have so much to do with the busiest month of the year. Yeah. And then you decide to commit to a 24 clue. You have to knit every day, like 45 minutes. I mean,
whilst you're trying to finish all your knitted Christmas presents.
Yeah, right. So you could finish this sock in 9 days.
They're cool.
So, and like you can knit 2 at a time, for example. It's really not a commitment. These 3.5 or 4 centimeters every day. It's not.
What I like about those as well is it might just be me making a judgment about the color, but they are either gender could wear them happily.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I think it might be the color that I'm judging it on, but the pattern often, you know, if you see a cable, not necessarily cables, but anything with any lace in it, sometimes it's like, you know, but yeah, that's great. That's great.
I usually don't use lace patterns because I don't like them so much for socks because they have to keep you warm. Yeah. And I like when you are able to use more colorful or busier yarns. I saw this pattern in a busier yarn as well, but lace is not so good.
It loses the effect, doesn't it, on colored yarn? Yeah.
Yeah. So there was so much fun, and I want to definitely host another mystery knit along this year again.
I shall join that one.
Oh yeah, you should. And because I'm such a seasonal person, you know, I'm a Catholic, so I have many feasts to celebrate throughout the year, and I really love to embrace the season and to do specific things only in that season. To eat something or to have some drinks. We all know that from Christmas, we usually eat these Christmas cookies only around Christmas, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm a big fan of the Lent season. So the 7 weeks before Easter. And I always go on Lent for something, whether I don't consume something or I do something, for example, a good deed every day or something. Yeah. And I decided to offer a mystery knit along again so 7 clues on every Friday of Lent. I released a clue, and again, not only the pattern but also awareness and happiness tips, because we were in the midst of this crazy pandemic and all the political craziness and so on, and we need to focus on the good things in life. And how could we do that? So I was providing these tips as well, and this is the
I've seen that. Yes, that's the colors. Is that hand dyed? Is that your
that's hand dyed? Yeah, so I offered kits as well. I will throw it up.
Lovely colors,
you know, brown and blue, my favorite colors. Yeah, and you can still get this, you can still knit this as mystery clue by clue or get the whole pattern. Yeah, that was so much fun.
There's something really, what's the word? I'm just looking at the colours now, the way it's fallen while you're wearing it. There's something weathered looking. Do you understand? Like, I don't know what the better word for that is. Like, it's you know, like when you get a piece of furniture and you sand the paint down. What's that called? I forgot what you call it.
I have no idea, but if you don't know the word, how can I know?
Yeah, yeah. We call it distressed. So it means not distressed as in distressed as in something that has seen some weather to it, and that looks like there's some kind of antique.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not so exaggerated. It's
It's lovely. And the brown as well. Obviously, I'm not seeing it close up, but again, I don't know what the pattern is, but that looks a bit like scales as well.
Yeah, it's like bubbles. I will try to show you, but Zoom is not easy for close-ups. So we will try.
Oh, I see. Ah, yes. Yeah. So when you knitted it, was that really exaggerated bubbles?
No, not at all.
No.
I'm a big fan of easy patterns. So yeah. I like to write easy patterns and I like to knit easy patterns. So I never offer something
good to know. Good
exhausting to know. It's our relaxation time. And I love to be able to listen to audiobooks or audio plays when I knit or watch TV or podcasts and so on. So yeah, there are many pretty difficult patterns and I would enjoy to have the product, but it's more important to me to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
So I tend to more easy things.
Yeah. So would you say you are a process rather than a product knitter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the same. I often don't even finish things. Often I wouldn't wear it, you know, so I might make a shawl, but I wouldn't wear it, you know, so I'll end up giving it away or whatever. So sometimes there's no incentive to finish it. It's all about the enjoyment of that process for me, the feel of the wool and just the calmness of it. Because like you say, it's very, what's the word? Therapeutic is the word, isn't it? Knitting, or it should be, even though we've had some stressful knitting years recently.
Oh, yes. that is so sad because when I switched from the German community to the English speaking community, I did that because everyone was so friendly. You know, I'm a German, I love Germany, I'm patriotic completely, but I know our weaknesses, you know, and our problems. And Germans are always criticizing and pointing out the mistakes and so on. Okay, that's why we can offer perfection in many things. And engineers from Germany are usually the best.
Yeah.
But in communities, it's so annoying. For example, if you post something, oh, I saw this pattern already somewhere else, that is not your pattern, or like, oh, that was a mistake and that is not pretty. And how could you do that? That is typical German. And if you post something in an English speaking community, it was always embracing. Oh, lovely to have you here. It's amazing. And you are such a young knitter. I wasn't that experienced when I was your age. So I enjoyed the English speaking community more.
Right.
But then, you know, something happened. I don't know. People lost their minds. And Instagram or Ravelry wasn't a refuge anymore. It was a war zone. Yeah, that's very
that's everywhere, isn't it? I mean, I've noticed it's even amongst the German knitters. I mean, we had a very brief conversation a while back about a particular German knitter. So it's not just in the English speaking world, it's definitely throughout, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really sad. And I really hope it does change because because it doesn't seem to be in everything. I mean, I know other crafts have a few of these things going on, like the sewers and the quilters have experienced this, but I can't imagine it happening in the woodworking community. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because men aren't that complicated. Yeah, if you have a lot of men there, you know, they're having a good time, and if they have a fight or an argument,
it's over with that.
They can drink a beer afterwards together, and I'm sorry, it's an unpopular opinion, but we women are so annoying, really. You do
realize so everyone's going to be writing in the comments and they'll either
but every woman knows that. Every woman knows that. And my best friends have always been male, always, because it's so much easier and uncomplicated.
Do you get Family Guy, the animation in Germany? Have you seen Family Guy?
I have never watched a whole episode.
Well, this won't make sense to you, but the Americans will. But there's a clip that I've seen going around the internet, and this is about this. And it's two women sat at a table who are friends, and they're doing this weird compliment thing, a compliment that's an insult, which I don't quite understand. And it's things like, oh, you've got really nice muscular legs, you know, which is a compliment and an insult at the same
Yeah, I see.
you know, and oh, that color, I would never be able to wear that color, but it looks so good on you. You know, it's so.
Yeah, in other words, you're so ugly, and this colorway is awesome.
And then it goes to two men, and there's just sat there with the drink, and one says, "I like your tie," and the other one goes, "Thanks," and then that's it.
Yeah, it can be very stressful among women, and we are comparing each other all the time. You know, it's hard. It's very hard to be a woman. I have to say that.
The psychology of that is incredible, isn't it? Because I've had this. I've got a very good friend called Julie, and she used to be my lodger, and we've talked about this so many times. Where she was going on dates with people, and she would say to me, "Oh, he said this. That means blah," and I'd say, "No, Julie, that means exactly what he said." If he said that, he's either absolutely lying completely, or he means what he said. You know, there's no subtlety to what men say.
Yeah.
You know?
We often expect in relationships when I have female friends, and when they come to me and ask for advice in their relationships also, I often come to the conclusion that the problem is they don't really talk. So the women hope the man can just see what she thinks and then do what she wants, but she doesn't tell him what she wants. So why not saying, "Hey, I really would appreciate if you did this or that for me," or "This is annoying me. Could you please stop that?" That is so much easier, and that is key for a relationship, in my opinion.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because men and women, you'd think by now we'd understand each other, but we don't, do we? And the thing about men is that when they're with someone, they just want to please that person generally. So if you ask your husband or your partner or whatever, and you say, "Oh, will you do X?" As long as you say afterwards what a fantastic job they've done, that they'll be happy. And whereas a lot of people, they just think. So the thing is, a man won't necessarily think ahead that something needs doing, whereas women do. They're always thinking what needs doing next. So men won't read your mind and say, "Oh yes, I don't know, that broken light switch needs to be fixed." They'll wait until they're told they have to do it.
Oh yes.
Then women get accused of being naggers. I don't know that you have that phrase where you nag.
Yeah.
You know, but that's because women want something done particularly at that point, and a man might say, "Well, do it later," and later for a man might actually be 6 months. You know.
Yeah. But that is also the exciting thing in a relationship between a man and a woman. I think we are in German it's complementär. So like to. Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah. So we need each other. We need each other. It's so important to have these two things, these attitudes and character traits in one relationship, because then we are one, we are complete. And it's sometimes difficult, but it's so exciting. And if you overcome these first obstacles, you can reach so much more than alone, in my opinion.
But one of the other ones that I think is really funny is when women come home from work, for example, and you've had a bad day, often you need to offload what's happened. You know, "Oh, that bitch in the office," or this person, you know. But for the man, he's hearing that you've got a problem, and his first reaction is, "Who have I got to beat up?" You know, what have I got to do to solve your problem?
Yes, to solve something, and we only want to talk. That's enough. Yeah, right. It's right. Yeah.
So it's almost like this is a lesson that should be taught at school. You know, when you go
really,
through life, just listen. You don't even have to say anything. Just sit.
And then hug us, and we are completely fine. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Or maybe we should write a book.
You know, I thought everyone knew these kind of things like 2 minutes ago, and all of a sudden men and women are the same, but obviously not, because sometimes you have to do the transition to a man. But you know, I don't know if the viewers know Matt Walsh or the Daily Wire. Well, I'm a big Daily Wire fan, and I'm a member, and I watched What is a Woman? And it is so funny. No one could answer the question, what is a woman?
I know, it's stupid, isn't it? But they know. They do know. But
because that's why they don't answer, because if they answer correctly, the whole system will fall apart. So yeah, what is a woman? I
Shall
definitely
we answer that
must
question?
watch.
Shall we answer the question? So I'll say what I said. So a woman is an adult human female that either so it could be one or the other, has to have female reproductive organs. They don't have to be working, and they don't have to be there, but they have to have had them at some point, and also to have the XX chromosome.
Yeah, right.
Even though there are some women that have the XXY chromosome, but that is not usual. It isn't its own gender. It's an abnormality, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
That is my definition of a woman.
That is everyone's definition of a woman. It has always been.
But doesn't it feel like that? I just think, God, does this make me a genius? Because I know that I'm a genius.
Easy to be a genius nowadays.
Maybe I should open a class for this, and that's it. That's the only thing I teach all day long.
Yeah, but people need that, obviously.
Oh, yeah, there's I don't know whether Germany will have had news of this, or even America, but in Britain there was actually no, it's international, this, isn't it? Sorry, I'm getting confused. The swimmers, there was a swimmer called Leah Thomas.
Yeah.
And now they've made a statement saying that, so the International Swimming Federation, or whatever they're called, have said now that unless, how's it phrased? If you have gone through male puberty, you are not allowed to compete in female swimming events, which is great. It's like a real sensible thing. However, somebody pointed this out to me when I shared it online. There's a little caveat in there, which is a little bit troubling, where they say, if they haven't, how do I phrase this? Basically, they've put in there that you need to have gone through the transition with hormones before the age of 12.
Oh, gosh.
So that's where the problem then comes in.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. So you have to be on puberty blockers and so on.
Leave that bit out about and just say, if you've gone through male puberty, that's it. You can't compete with women. That is all they needed. But now they're bringing this forwards, which is going to increase children's need to transition at an earlier age, which is absolutely heartbreaking. And these people, it drives me mad when they say, well, I'm going to ask you about the whole pro-life thing shortly as well, so we'll talk about that in a moment. But what they accuse people like yourself, and we're on the same side of this argument, but we're coming from a different angle, but what they accuse us both of is caring more about an unborn child than a real child. And they accuse us that once that child is there, we don't want to know and we don't care. And because we probably both are against transitioning children into the
absolutely, opposite. Yeah, absolutely.
And they think that that's a form of child abuse on our part for not allowing them to transition. Now, to me, if an adult wants to do it, you do it, but do what you want to your own body as an adult. If you want to change your gender, or you're not changing your gender, you want to emulate or pretend
to change your sex,
you can do that, and I've got no problem with that, and I will respect that as far as it goes. But at the moment you encourage children or push children, or even put it into their heads when they wouldn't have necessarily even thought about it before, that's where I draw a line. So anyway, we'll come back. So shall we? I think now we've led into the next part that I want to talk about, which is what you do. I don't know how to phrase it. I don't want to say a pastime, but it's your passion and how would you describe your pro-life work?
So it's my main job and my volunteer job. So I'm doing that to earn money and in my free time.
Right. Oh, so you take your work home then, literally. You're
yeah. So I'm working for the biggest German pro-life organization. Right. It's called it's Aktion Lebensrecht für alle. In English, would it be something like the right to live for everyone?
Yeah.
And we do a lot of stuff. We do political awareness and work, and I think you would call it lobby work. Right. So that the politicians know what they are talking about and how they can handle some papers and so on. And we help women who are in need, so pregnant women in need. We don't only talk, and that's why I always have to shake my head when people say, oh, you only want to be the child, you only want to see the child gets born, and after that you don't care anymore. That's not true, because the work starts there.
Right, yeah.
From the moment the woman decides she will give birth to that baby, we are there. We pay everything she needs. If she needs a new car or a new flat, we pay that. If she needs medical treatment and she can't afford it, we pay that. If she needs someone to talk to or is helping to fill out the forms, how to find out where to get things and money and how to find the right hospital and a midwife and so on, we give a person on her side. It's always volunteers.
Ask a question here. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. I'm going to put myself on. I'm going to put myself on the bad guy side. I think the first thing they would ask, or first thing they would assume, is, but what do they have to do in return for that?
Nothing.
I'm glad, because it's like I imagine people say, "Oh, but that means they've got to sign up to some religious thing, or they've got."
No, we are not a religious organization. Everyone can come to us. Many people are Christians in our organization because that is something that comes together often. It's often the religious people who think it's not okay to kill babies. I don't know why you have to be religious for that. But
I'm not religious, but I agree with that sentiment. So I don't know. Yeah. But I was religious, so obviously it's in there somewhere, you know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So no, we are not political orientated or something. We are completely independent. Wow. So you don't have to be anything. You don't have to be a member to get our help. Nothing. You need help, we help.
So I suppose the only thing that they would have to do, well, say only, it makes it trivializes it, but I suppose is having the child, isn't it?
Yeah, if the woman doesn't get the child, she doesn't need our money, you know, so why should we? There is no need to help. But the women who decide to get the abortion and afterwards find out they are suffering, or they need someone to talk or something, we are there too. So we have a hotline for these cases, and because we have a hotline for crisis pregnancies. So typically, so that's my volunteer work. So I'm on the phone and someone calls, just crying, "Oh my gosh, this pregnancy test is positive. I don't know what to do." So, but that hotline was used by many women who suffer from post-abortion syndrome. Sometimes the abortion was 30 years ago.
Yeah. It's something that isn't talked about, isn't it? When when these people go around saying how wonderful it is to have, thingy over your own body, control over your own body, they never mention the hormonal change that happens the moment a woman becomes pregnant. You don't even have to go so far into the pregnancy, but that hormone happens, doesn't it? And it can completely change a person, can't it?
Absolutely. And the sad side of the story is, I know all this abortion thing is, they always say it's part of the women empowerment, but that is not true. Right. The women I have on the phone every week are crying and saying to me, "I can't afford this child. I need the abortion." So is that freedom? I don't think so. Or the second reason, they mostly say, the father will leave me if I get the child, if I keep the child. He will leave me, he will throw me out of our flat. Or if she is underage, the parents are putting her under pressure. So where is their empowerment? Where is freedom? You can only decide freely if you have options. And if you only have one option, and the only option is abortion, where is freedom? Yeah. And most of the women want to keep the child. Most of them want that, but they need help. They need support, they need money, they need mental support, and that's what we do.
Yeah, because most of the women that are pro-abortion or have had abortions, they would argue that they wouldn't kill a child. If they could see a child, they would say they wouldn't kill that child. So there's something obviously psychological about the child being hidden until the moment of birth. If only women had see-through glass wombs, so everyone would see there's a child and what it is, because they don't even think they're human.
Yeah, the problem is the pro-choicers always talk about cell clumps or tissue, and although the pregnant woman is like out of glass, you can see everything nowadays. You can have 3D ultrasound, you can hear the heart beating and so on. They try to keep that secret. They deny these biological facts. I mean, if you live in a society where you say men and women, something like that, don't exist, you can say it's a clump of cells. from the 21st day on, the heart is beating. You are not even able to take a pregnancy test at that stage.
So that's before a month, isn't it? That's
yeah, it's the third week.
Yeah.
So you don't even know that you are pregnant.
And
you are not over time, and the heart is already beating.
So that, because that's some people's view of what a life is, isn't it? Some people would say the moment there's a heartbeat, it's a life.
However, but they only accept the heartbeat the doctor can make hearable, and that is the 6th week.
Right.
So that is later.
But am I right in believing, I mentioned this on a podcast I did with the politically incorrect girls, and I thought, I don't know whether this is right, but I believe that the first thing that gets formed of the embryo is the nervous system before anything else. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, because that is producing all the hormones and so on that are needed to develop the rest.
So the nervous system is also the part of the body that deals with pain, isn't it?
Oh, I know what you're going for. Yes, the baby can feel pain during an abortion. I know Planned Parenthood and so on says the opposite, but it's proven that the baby is experiencing pain. And there is this, I don't know if the English title is Silent Scream from this Dr. Nathan. You know, you see an abortion in the, I think, 11th or 12th week, and you see how the baby tries to hide from that instrument. And the stress level is very, very high. You can measure it. And so it is in fear. And
how old is the fetus, the baby, at that point? How many weeks was it?
That was, I think, 11 or 12 weeks. So it's already late, in my opinion. But in Germany, you can abort a child without any problems, without any arguments, up to in the first 12 weeks, the first 12 living weeks, which are 14, is the 14th pregnancy week.
Right. I mean, it's one of the things that I thought was horrific. I mean, I'm against abortion, full stop. And I think that everything, if you don't want a child, you should do everything you can to not be pregnant. You know, if you're a man and you don't want to have children, you make sure damn well that you don't get a woman pregnant. And if you're a woman, and I've said this before, unfortunately, the absolute responsibility is always going to fall on you as a woman to look after that child. Whether that's right or wrong is irrelevant. It's just the way it will be, you know. And if you don't want to be pregnant, then you should do things to make sure you don't get pregnant beforehand. And I really get annoyed when people use abortion as a form of contraception, you know, just because they had sex and didn't, you know, use precautions. That just is so irresponsible from my point of view.
The problem is the irresponsible way they deal with sex. So it's like only having fun, no consequences, no responsibility. The problem is with every contraception, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So you should think about who you're dating, and if you're ready, if you want to sleep with someone, you always have to ask yourself, what if? Yeah. And if the answer is, I would abort, don't sleep with him. I'm sorry.
But this is the problem now, isn't it? With, I mean, this is probably where I hadn't thought of this before, but when I had that conversation with Politically Incorrect, this is where I thought, this is where I'm probably going to have a disagreement perhaps with you. Is for me, I felt that if it was something, I forget what the medication is called, but there's a medication, or sorry, not a medication. There's a form of contraception that allows the egg to be fertilized, but then it won't latch onto the womb. And I felt that was okay. I don't know whether you differ on that.
No. It's already. So I in German it's Kupferspirale. So it's this metal thing you set into the womb of a woman.
Is it called a coil? Is it the coil? No, it's not.
I don't know the English word. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is it like a T shape?
Yeah, right. And it's a metal, and this metal destroys the fertilized cell.
Right.
So the problem is this thing itself is problematic. Many women have infections. So this thing causes a constant infection in your body. That's not good. It's hurtful. It's very painful. I know this from friends to have this, and it's dangerous if you get pregnant anyways, and that happens. So it's very dangerous for the child and for the mother.
So sometimes it doesn't work, and
sometimes it doesn't work. There is a very famous picture where the baby after birth is holding this contraception thing. Yeah. So
and is that real?
The problem is it's a human being from the first. So every scientist would agree with me to say it's a human being. It's new DNA, and everything is there. It only has to grow and to develop. So
I'm still unsure how I feel about it at that point. So for me, it's the moment it's attached to the womb in my mind. You know, the moment it's attached, and then I can see your. So one of the things I wanted to ask about this is, so when the girl or the woman comes to your organization, do they? Is it like a helpline that they initially contact you on, or is everybody aware of your organization in Germany?
You mean the woman who's phoning us, if she knows that we are pro-life?
Well, if she finds she's pregnant, and then does every woman in Germany know that you exist as an organization?
No, unfortunately not. Right, because they are very surprised that we do so much for them. And they are so grateful. You know, usually a phone call goes like this. A crying, devastated woman is on the phone and said, how does this work with the abortion? Can you please help me? They don't know who they call. They just type in Google abortion help or something, or unplanned pregnancy or something, and then they find our phone number. And then I try to go a few steps back and ask her, what is going on? Tell me your story. And then we get her feelings straight. I understand her situation, how it's with the boyfriend or the husband, or how is her financial background and all that jazz. And then she gets calmer. She stops crying, gets calmer, and we can sort everything out. And then I ask, why do you want the abortion? And usually the answer is, I have to. I have to. Or one very young woman, I think 21 or 22 years old, told me, isn't that usual in my age?
Oh my God. Oh,
yeah, because they think their life is over. They think, I can't make a career. I can't find a husband. My life is over. That is what the society is telling these young women. And that is bullshit. I'm sorry to use that word. My sister got pregnant with 15 and everything worked out very fine. And my niece is becoming a teacher now. Wow. So why was this possible? Because my parents were helping. My mom quit her job. She was a nurse. She quit her job. So my sister could finish her school and the apprenticeship and everything. And these women need help like my parents helped my sister. And that seems to me like it's a privilege, but it shouldn't be. It should be available for every woman. Every woman should get this support. And politicians don't do that. Pro-choice organizations don't do that. So we have to do that. And we help with everything what they need.
Because I'm ignorant to this, you know. There may well be other organizations in my country, in America, you know, but I'm completely ignorant of anybody else doing this. And I just think it's an amazing thing, because like we were saying at the beginning of this, is so many times people on the pro-life side are accused of not caring once it's born. And this is exactly the opposite of that. But isn't it interesting, when we were talking before about men and women and how we think differently and so on, that phone call that you just sort of talked about, I wonder whether this is part of the issue. Is as a man, my instinct would be, right, well, how do we solve this issue? Which is, and you can imagine that if you're a male doctor, perhaps the solution is an abortion. You know, that solves solves in inverted commas the issue, doesn't it? Whereas the way you describe it is, the issue isn't necessarily the pregnancy. It's the
circumstances. You don't have to get rid of the child. You have to get rid of the bad circumstances. But in Germany, when you go to I don't know how to pronounce the word, gynecologist. Okay. When you go to him, you have this positive test at home. Now you have to go to make the blood test and to take the ultrasound. The first question a German gynecologist is asking, okay, what do we do now? Do you want to keep it?
Right.
I mean, what is going on?
But that's obviously the mindset that's happening, isn't it? Is that may all solve the problem, solve the obvious issue.
I don't know, because the good man's reaction usually is, the good man's reaction usually is, and the women in that situation hate that, is when they say, whatever you decide, I will be by your side. I will stand by your side. And that is not helpful, because that means the woman is alone again. Yeah. She has to decide alone. She needs a man on her side who says, we can do that. I will be there for you. I will care for you and our child. These kind of men we need.
And in the absence of that man, she just needs another person that is willing to help her then, isn't it? That's the thing. So how long do you offer support for these women?
As long as it's needed. Usually these women want to be independent. So the first year after, sometimes only until birth, because they have worked out where to get money and help and everything. But if they need financial support after that, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, we are there. But usually these women don't want that. They want to be independent.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And do you know, so is your organization, is it completely standalone in Germany, or do you have links with other countries with similar organizations? Do you know of anything internationally that does something similar?
There are many international pro-life organizations. Many are focusing on political work.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess there are several international organizations who really help women, but we are more connected within Germany with the other organizations we have. We are the biggest one and we offer the most help, to be honest. We have 11,000 members, and all these members are donating their money every month to help these women. So we have the financial stock, so to say.
Do you accept donations from overseas? Because I'm sure there'll be some people listening that would like to donate.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had this welcome baby socks thing,
The link, yeah. Oh, yeah, we've not talked about the baby socks, have we? Yeah, because the whole point of this was you allowed me to put the welcome baby sock pattern into the magazine, which is linked to this organization. Well, I don't want to say organization, to this, what would you call it, project, to this
Welcome Baby Socks, that's like my baby. It's our project, My colleagues knew that I loved to knit, and one of my colleagues who is a volunteer, is it consultant when you do this phone work? What is the right word in English?
Counselor?
I guess counselor. So another counselor, a colleague of mine, was asking, like, she was phoning me and she said, Anna, you like to knit, right? I said, yes, keep talking. She told me that she used to offer women in crisis pregnancies tiny baby socks, bought from H&M or something, just cheap baby socks, to make visible what it's about. It's about a baby. It's not about a problem, a tissue or something. It's about a baby. And she suggested, why not asking people to knit these socks, because it's so much more special if they made by hand and with love. And I said, I hear ya. I will make a tutorial. I will write a pattern and we will do so. And now we have received way over 1,000 pairs of baby socks from all over the world because of my private YouTube channel and Anita podcast. I was inviting the people to take part in that. So we had from America, Great Britain, we had from Australia, from all over the world, we received these socks. And the women who receive these socks are usually crying, and they are blown away that foreign people are welcoming this baby while the father isn't interested, for example, or the grandparents aren't interested in that baby. And that touches them very much.
I don't suppose you have a pair there, because I suppose you'll have sent them off, won't you, whenever you knit them?
Yeah, always when I knit them, I immediately send them off. Yeah,
because I see there's definitely
just a normal baby sock.
Yeah, but there's definitely something in seeing them, isn't there? Like what you said. So you should have a pair that you just have, that you keep to show, because I think it does. It just cements it as a real thing. That this is for a real human being.
Yeah, and many women who plan to get pregnant are touched to tears and blown away when they have their first body or their first sock set or something in their hands. And they were prepared for that, you know. They
Yeah.
look at that and immediately think, oh my gosh, it's a real baby. There will be a baby in our household. So, and we think also women who get pregnant unplanned deserve this moment, this being touched and looking forward to that baby. And that's why we make these socks and give them away.
Yeah, because it's a real, because if you think of it in the traditional sense, is when somebody announced a pregnancy, the knitters in that person's vicinity would all knit baby clothes. And I know there was a period of time, wasn't there, where baby clothes and any knitted product was kind of seen as being a little bit old fashioned. But every baby I knew, even the ones that the most modern mothers, still had booties, you know, the baby booties. So, you know, there's definitely, so it's a clever choice to choose booties rather than say a hat or even a jacket.
Because these tiny feet, they are so cute.
Yeah. So I'll put a link to your organization in the notes on here. And hopefully if somebody does want to donate, are there any language barriers, do you think, to being able to donate? Or is it?
I think our website is only in German, but I can give you my email address from the organization and then we can work it out.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah, because I'm sure somebody will. I'm sure they will. Because I still need to knit these socks and send them. Because when you sent me the pattern, I said I would, and I haven't. And I've got no excuse now because I've got my little mini.
Yeah, you have the minis. It's perfect for the leftover. When you have knit an adult sized sock, you usually have like 20 gram leftover. You can make 2 pairs out of that.
So 1 pair would be 10 grams, would it?
Yeah, about. And if you have contrast color on hand, you are always on the good side. So.
And also, I think you said, like you were talking about your other pattern, it's ribbed all the way down, isn't it? I think.
Because it's better for the shape. Babies tend to get rid of the socks.
Yeah.
They you know, and so it's important to have this 2x2 or 1x1 ribbing so it stays on the baby's leg.
Brilliant. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask you about the pro-life and the baby thing. So you probably don't want to say, but so you've recently got married.
Yeah.
So are you planning to have children?
Yeah, absolutely. As many as we can.
Is that a rude question? I don't know.
No, that's not a rude question. I think I love children. I'm coming from I'm the third of 3 children in my family, and we adopted 3 children. So my nieces, because they lost their parents at a very young age, so they came to us. And my niece was living with us because my sister got pregnant with 15. So we were always 9 or 10 people at home.
So you are almost like the perfect pro-life person, because not only are you supporting the women in their pregnancy and after, but you also put your money where your mouth is and will adopt if nobody is there for that child. So you
absolutely, yeah.
Because that's the other thing that people like us get accused of, is that, well, you wouldn't adopt one of these children, so why, you know, and you would.
Absolutely. And if it turns out, for example, some women have problems getting pregnant, and if I find out it's in my case, if I suffer from that, I will adopt a child, needless to say. And it's always interesting when I have the crisis pregnancy women on the phone. They think they want the abortion, and then I just say, as a side note, you know, there is also the possibility of adoption. You can get the child and adopt that child. And then they say, I couldn't do that. Then I ask, why couldn't you do that?
Yeah.
I couldn't give that baby away. And I said, so you are loving this baby already now.
Yeah.
So how could you abort that? You love that baby already.
Yeah, because it would almost be like, and I'm sure they don't think this, but it's almost like saying, you know, like when you have these people who murder their ex-partners, and it's like, you know, I don't want you, but I don't want anyone else having you either.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost a bit like that, isn't it? I don't want this baby, but I don't want anyone else having it.
I think when
I know
they
it's not that
think
easy.
about adoption, no, I think really it's the first time they think of this pregnancy as a baby, because they start to imagine, oh my gosh, it will look like a tiny baby, it will scream, it will smell and feel like a baby, and then I would give it away. So they visualizing it for the first time. Until then, it was a problem I have to get rid of. And in that moment, they realize, oh my gosh, she's talking about a baby. I couldn't give my baby away.
And then somebody
then
else looking after that baby and raising it, you know, and them not being the mother anymore, like, you know, as in the day-to-day mother. Yeah.
And for many young women, it would be the right decision. Maybe they are not ready to be a mother, and that is completely fine. And there are so many infertile couples who would love to care for that.
Yeah, I think one of the things, I mean, I know there are some exceptions and there are cases where mothers do murder their babies. I know it's quite rare, but I've never heard of anybody, at least not in my life, of a woman having a child and then not wanting it after the event. You know, I mean, I know you have, oh God, that child's screaming and it's doing my head in, you know, you're going to have those days, but no mother I have ever met would give that child away at that point or kill it, you know. So I think there's definitely something in, you know, that thing about it being real. The moment it's real. Many
women regret their abortion. No women regrets the birth. So it's our experience.
Yeah. I mean, I know some women will have perhaps regrets about not doing other things in their life, but they would never change it. I never hear a woman saying, I wish I'd never had it. But they might say, I wish I'd been able to do X, Y, Z. Yeah. You know, but they don't regret the child part of it. Yeah, it's a shame, you know, you can't give the pregnant girls, pregnant women a view of the future, you know, of what that child will be, you know, because you just think, because like you say, with your niece who's now a teacher, you know, that's a job that has so much impact on so many other people's lives. And if she hadn't existed, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and my sister got ill shortly after the birth, and now she's not able to get pregnant anymore. So now imagine she had aborted her.
Wow. And was it an illness that would probably have been the same case if she'd have had an abortion? So that would have been it. She would never have conceived after.
No, it was an infection. So if she had considered abortion, it would have nothing to do with her illness or so. But imagine she wouldn't have a daughter and she wanted to be a mother, you know, and she would have aborted the only child she could have received. So yeah, I try to visualize with women how a life with a child could be. And I always ask them, what do you imagine, what you think of a day with a baby? And sometimes they have horrible pictures in their head, and I said, it doesn't have to be like this. We can help you out with this. We can help you out with that, and you will find a husband or your pet. Often the grandparents, how do you say that in English? They, in the first place, they say, we won't help you. We don't want to see the baby, but when the baby is there, when the belly gets bigger, they start to be interested very much.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm not comparing babies to animals by any means, but it's the thing of like the dad in the household who wants the dog, but the moment the dog's there, the dad loves the dog more than anybody else. It's the same.
Yeah, it was the same in our family with our dog. Yeah.
That's what happened in ours. Yeah, exactly that. He was like, no, we're not getting a dog. I'll have to walk him. I'll be the one that has to do it all. And he was right. He was right. Yeah. He didn't do it all, but he loved it, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
One last thing about the pro-life thing that I was going to ask. Hang on, is it still there? It's floating in my head and it's almost there. Do you get this? Is it just me? The thoughts.
No, we all experienced it.
It was to do with other people's reactions. All it was I wanted to talk about, well, not talk about, but just bring up the subject of one of the arguments that people say about abortion is victims of rape or incest, for example. And it is so rare that you can't think, is it really worth talking about that to make it a bigger issue for everyone? But one of the things I was thinking about with rape is, in that rare instance that it happened, so a woman would perhaps ring your helpline, and again, that would be the issue, would be the rape initially, wouldn't it? That's the issue rather than the pregnancy. And the thing is, there was a grown woman who I saw in an interview, and I completely forget, so I can't point to where this interview was now. And it turns out she was the child of a rape.
I guess you mean Rebecca Kiesling. She's very famous.
Yeah, it will be, yeah. And I just thought it was really interesting that she came forward to say that and say, look, you know, I exist. You know, I'm a person, you know, and it's like, yeah, it's a person. Yeah, it's horrific. You know, the circumstances are horrific, but how do you deal with that situation?
I have never had a woman, rape women calling us. So I have never
Shows how
had this
rare
talk
it is.
with a victim.
Yeah.
But I can tell you a little bit about statistics. In 2020, 17 abortions were made because of this crime. So
In Germany or
in Germany. So we have 100,000 abortions every year. And 17 of them were because of rape or something similar. And we could imagine some women don't talk about being raped because it's hard to talk about it. So let's add a 0, 170, let's say that.
That's be very...
That would be very generous to say that.
Yeah.
After all, it's 170 of 100,000.
That's
100,000 every year
of people, isn't it? 100,000. You know,
yeah, it's a city. It's a
well, a small city, but yeah, it's a lot.
yeah, in Germany, it's a normal size. So
what is it worldwide? Is it something ridiculous like 6 million worldwide abortions?
Yeah, or 7. Yeah, it's I'm horrible with numbers, but yes, it's dramatic, way more than in World War II.
Wow.
So
every year
when I talk about, when I get asked, yeah, it's always these number-wise, these small issues. It's a very big issue. Rape is a very big issue, but regarding the numbers, it's, you know, an exception. It's always the main argument when you discuss with pro-choicers. So first of all, I want to stay that out. And then I say, okay, who is the victim here? The woman. And who should get punishment? The man, not the baby.
Why the child? Yeah, why the child?
So, and the next thing, I don't know if a man can imagine that, but a raped woman, should she really go to a doctor and again get humiliated in that way? A foreign man spread her legs and get this horrible treatment, a second trauma upon the other? I don't think that is a good choice. And I know from a midwife, she's in our organization as well, that she had a client who was raped in the past. She didn't receive in that rape, but she was raped in the past. And that's why she didn't want to give birth in a hospital, because foreign people always around her, you know, it's very...
She wanted it to be private, basically.
Yeah. So she only wanted to have a midwife. And even the midwife wasn't allowed to touch her during the process of giving birth. And that is difficult, you know. Yeah. And it was, everything was fine. And the birth was very successful. And then she said, the client, so the women said, now I am healed. Now, so she was this victim of a rape, and it was always a problem for her going to the doctors and so on. And through that birth, giving birth and being so powerful and so strong, having this baby get out, she said, now I'm healed. Now this stigma is not upon me anymore. So we shouldn't forget what it changes in a woman to become a mother. Right. How powerful that feels to be a mother. So, and I think we should punish the men and not the baby and not the woman, because an abortion is a punishment. Yeah. It's not a fun treatment at all. And it's dangerous.
Well, yeah, I mean, we haven't gone into any of the details of what happens, but I would say to people, if you're interested and you have the stomach for it, Google and learn how they're performed. Because when I learned the various ways, I was well shocked. I couldn't believe the way it was done, because the way I always thought it was some kind of very gentle.
No,
you know what I'm saying, don't you?
You rip the baby apart. That is a little,
yeah. Oh, it's horrific, isn't it? It's absolutely.
Yeah, and in Germany, it's we have strict rules for that, but in the US, it's even more brutal. If the viewer are going to look that up, you have to have strong nerves. So I had to learn all these abortion procedures, because otherwise I couldn't tell the women what is it about. And sometimes they asked me which kind of abortion could I get, and I have to explain them. And sometimes
most don't know, do they? Most women that go for an abortion don't actually know what the procedure is. And
Yeah.
they are told, they're only told the bits that they're going to be aware of, not necessarily the bits that are going to happen that they're not aware of.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I might be wrong, but I think, are all abortions done under general anesthetic? Or
No,
is it only certain
they don't
points?
have to, but many women choose to because they don't want to hear anything.
Right. Anyway, right, on that point, I think we should change the subject. I mean, it's a fantastic subject, and I think it's amazing what you're doing. I really do. And I think you should be applauded for it. If you were in the UK, I would hope. I imagine you wouldn't know. This is the problem. If you were in the UK, I would hope you would get some kind of Queen's honor or something. But
No.
people don't tend to get rewarded for this work, do they? That's the problem.
Yeah.
But,
the reward is when the women say thank you and show me their baby pictures.
Yeah. Brilliant. Right, now I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions. So before we do, there may be some language difficulties, I don't know. So obviously, if you don't understand what something is, I think you will. I've got one question that is going to be me asking some German words of you. And so I'm probably going to mispronounce them and say them absolutely appallingly. So forgive me for that. And if I can just find, sorry, there it is. The cats have knocked my book onto the floor. This is how amateur I am. I'm hardly prepared for this. Right, let me find my questions. Okay, the first one is an easy one. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Yeah, Germany's a big coffee drinking.
Yeah, where I come from, it's black tea, it's Frisian black tea, but I like that, but I prefer a neat coffee.
And neat coffee.
I need it.
I need a right. Like I need the Opal yarn. Yeah. I think you've answered this already. Opal or hand dyed?
Oh. Okay.
You have to choose one.
Opal.
I knew you were going to go with that. And I think I know the answer to this one. Fingering or worsted weight?
Fingering.
Okay, this is the German one. You might not even know. I might be making a fool of myself now. And you're like, what? Lindenstrasse or Unter uns?
None of that. I have never watched the German soaps. For all the not German viewers, it's two German, very cheesy soaps.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, right. It's right.
Yeah, I spent ages on that last night thinking, I don't think she watches TV, I was thinking to myself. So, like, you've got a TV.
I even think Lindenstrasse is not being produced anymore. I think it was shut down last year or so, but I have never watched it. I know about it, but I've never watched it. And Unter uns also, I didn't watch it.
Well, I've never heard of either until yesterday when I was researching for it. And what I found out is that Lindenstrasse, yeah, is that right?
Yeah, Lindenstrasse.
It's based on Coronation Street, which is a soap from my hometown here, which is over the road, which has been, I think it's one of the oldest in the world. I don't know whether it was the first. I don't know whether it was, but it's the oldest. But I found that quite interesting that you would have a German version of that. Yeah. Anyway, so again, I think I know the answer. Continental style or English style?
Continental means having the yarn in the left hand, right? Yeah, then that.
Yeah, and did you know that in England, we all used to knit that way until the First World War? And it was seen as being a German style. And so back in that era, so we're not talking about the Second World War, the First World War, it was really bad form in England to knit the German style.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's. I want to try and get more info on that. I might write a story about it. Okay, seamed or seamless?
Seamless.
Yeah. Top down or bottom up?
Top down.
Toe up or cuff down?
Cuff down.
Euro or Deutschmark?
Oh, I would say as a Deutsche Mark, D-Mark, because you have received more for that.
Yeah, I'm going off topic, but I lived and worked in Germany for a very, very short time, and it was when the Deutschmark was before the euro, and it was such a powerful money. You know, I can't think of a better phrase. You
received so much for one D-Mark, so many candy. Oh my gosh. But yeah.
Mohair or alpaca?
Mohair, because I'm a little bit allergic to alpaca.
That's unusual,
itchy for
isn't it?
me.
Yeah. Again, I think I know the answer. Cables or brioche?
Simple brioche.
Magic loop or DPNs?
EBNs.
This one's an interesting one because I don't know what I would say to this. Cast on or bind off?
Cast on. I hate binding off.
Oh dear.
Yeah, because I never get it the right tension.
Ah,
I'm not.
I was just thinking you might
very
like it as it's a finished product, but like we were saying, we've been processing it as it's the process rather than the finishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I know you crochet. Do you prefer knit or crochet?
Knitting.
And being German, I think we all know the answer to this one. Wrap and turn or German short rows?
Wrap and turn, really.
No.
I hate the German short rows. I hate them.
That's just so weird.
Yeah, I know. I think wrap and turns are so much easier.
I can't do
Easier
them.
on the hands, because for the German short rows, you have to pull the yarn to the back, and I think it's exhausting for the hands.
Wow. Did you learn German short rows though?
That was the first I learned. And then I discovered wrap and turn. And I discovered that no one likes wrap and turns because the picking up. People don't like
it's hard
pick
to
up.
see, isn't it? And I think the last question. Oh no, I've got a couple more, sorry. Hats or socks?
Socks.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Oh yeah, good. And neon or neutral?
Neutral.
Ah. And the last question is green or red?
Red.
That was a hard one for you then, wasn't it? You had to really think.
Yeah, because I like all the colors, but then I thought about what looks good on me, and that's red.
So I would always go with blue because I think I suit blue better than that.
Yeah, I love blue, but you were asking green or red.
Oh God, I did, didn't I? I told you I'd get things mixed up. Well, this has been really, really interesting, and thank you for coming on because you've been a great supporter of my magazine as well, which I'm really.
I love your magazine. I love that you stand against this bullying on the internet and to make our knitting community, crafting community friendly again, and it's a real safe place if something like that exists.
Yeah, and you've written is it two? Yeah, you've written two articles, haven't you, for us now? So you wrote
the one about the
socks.
welcome baby socks and how I became Anna knitter.
Yeah, that was quite clever. A nice little play on.
It was my husband's idea. The title was his idea.
Yeah. So is he? I'm getting people mixed up. But is your husband the one who might be writing something?
Yeah, he wants to write an article out of his point of view as a non-knitter.
Oh,
how is it to live with a knitter?
Yeah, with an Opal dealer. What it's like to live with a dealer. So on that point, I'll say thank you and goodbye. And the last thing I'm going to say is, Anna, you've been blocked.